it hadn't been defined whose apartment this was. Every day there was something else that was going on. It was next to impossible for me to spend time with my child. Why is this like, it can be okay. We can work this out. I ended up putting a padlock on my bedroom door. They would all be there in like this pack, and I would feel really super alone and just like scared because of all the things that had been said. And like, it was just like, why can't I have money? I'm successful. Why can't I get out of this? This is not right. I forgot all about this. I literally forgot. 10 assistants have seen this torture. It was a nightmare.
Is to meet someone. They're all like, I want to meet someone. I'm going to meet a guy. I hear it all the time. And every 50 plus woman that I know is like, oh my God, if I ever got divorced, I'd never get married again. Or like, oh my God, I got married too early. I was in such a rush. That's the same story every time. And somehow these two ages aren't speaking to each other. I don't know if mothers are really able to convey that properly to their daughters, but they have to be, because Harrison Bucker's speech was basically telling women that their only purpose is to like walk into life, try to find someone to support you and to cook and clean. And being a homemaker is a wonderful, wonderful, difficult job. But it's not a terrible idea to have your own skill set and your own power and your own career so you can make your own decisions. So you don't feel like you have to grab onto someone to support you. And a lot of young girls are pre-wed. They just want to meet someone to take care of them. But then 20, 30 years later, they're like, wait a second, what the hell was I rushing for? I could have been having fun for so much longer. Because once you get into your late 30s, 40s, 50s, you're in the responsibility train. Like everything's about something you have to do, something that is an obligation, somewhere you have to go. You're exhausted. It's not that cute. And you sit there and think, what the hell are all these young girls rushing for? They just have to understand there's no rush. Be alone, be happy, be so.
Okay, I think enough time has passed that I can tell you guys the crazy story of why and how my ex and I broke up. So my ex moved from interstate to live with me. And so he didn't really know anyone else that wasn't my friend in our town. So we were talking about getting married. We were talking about spending our lives together. I thought we were getting engaged in like the next 6 to 12 months sort of thing. And then this woman named Joanne moves in next door. Now, it took us a while to warm up to Joanne because she was a little bit vague about her past. Like, we would ask her where she was from and she would kind of dance around the question. We would ask her, like, if she's married, she would dance around the question. She just wasn't very forthcoming with information about her past. But we were like, oh, none of our business. Maybe there's some trauma there. Good for her. But she seemed pretty lonely. She didn't really know anyone in town either. So the three of us would hang out. We would do things together. We really started to trust Jo. We'd hang out all the time. Another strange thing about Jo is that she had a chemical burn to her eye, a chronic injury, right? It was a long time ago. It was healed and she should have been wearing an eye patch. But instead, she would just tape cotton, a new piece of cotton to her face every day. Very strange. Anyway, the relationship kind of turned from like the three of us being friends and her and I being closer to her messaging my boyfriend more and stuff like that. But I wasn't super worried about it because he's a friendly guy and whatever. So one day I go on a work trip and my boyfriend's like messaging me a little bit less than usual, but still messaging me. And I come home and he's gone and all of his stuff is gone. And I'm like, what the? So I start calling his family. I start calling my family. I start calling our mutual friends. I start calling anyone I can think of because he's not answering. And I'm like, where has he gone? Does anyone know where he's gone? And some people were like, we can't tell you that. It's not for us to disclose. I'm like, okay, so this is weird. He's plotted something crazy, weird. What have I missed here? Like, I'm like blaming myself, blah, blah, blah. And I had tried to text Joanne next door, Jo, and she didn't reply. And I was like, she always replies to me. This is getting mad sus. So about 2 weeks later, I go over to her house and I knock on the door and a man answers. I've never seen a man over there. And I say, hi, is Jo home? And he says, Joanne? Yeah, she was the previous tenant, right? And I was like, she's moved out? He's like, yeah, she moved away with some blonde guy. I was like, do you have a forwarding address? He says, yes. He gives me the address. It's only an hour away. I drive there. Sure enough, both of their cars are there. They're living together. They're together now. So I don't know where she come from. I don't know where she go. But if it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Jo, I'd been married a long time ago.
About 2 weeks ago, I was dumped, cut from the team entirely. And even though this story is embarrassing for me, it's also one that's very worthy of being told. So the day of the breakup, I had literally gotten breakfast tacos with my then boyfriend. I go home, I'm doing my thing, he's doing his thing. We don't really talk much that day. And I decide that I'm going to go to bed early. But something about me is that I constantly wake up throughout the night. So I wake up at about midnight and check my phone, which, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I check my phone and I see that I had a text from him. Now, I'm assuming that he wrote me a cute little goodnight text, but when I opened it, not what I saw. It was a text paragraph, like thick text that's breaking up with me. I am literally convinced that this man got this breakup text on AI because so cookie cutter basic. It was truly I need to pinch myself. I think I'm in a dream moment because I'm sorry. A breakup text. I had never been broken up with over text before. And I feel like as you get older, the likelihood that you're going to get dumped over text one day goes down because, people get mature as they get older. Or so I thought. So I'm like blinking, like rubbing my eyes. I'm like, I cannot be reading this right because this man just told me he was falling in love with me. So what are you talking about? Now, what I should have done was not reply, never text back, and never speak to him again because I'm sorry. If you're going to disrespect me in that way and break up with me via text message, you don't even deserve a response. But yeah, that's not what I did. Yeah, I called an Uber right over to his apartment, which is less than a 5-minute drive away from me. So would have been really convenient for him to actually just come over and break up with me in person. But I was like, you know what? No, if you're going to break up with me, you're going to say it to my face. I'm not doing this. Because what am I going to do? Just be read that and be like, okay, going back to sleep now. No. And by the time he's like, no, Kelsey, don't come over. I'm like, too late, baby. Already in the Uber. See you soon. So I get over there and I'm like, a breakup text. A breakup text. And he was like, I just felt like it needed to be said. And I knew that if I saw you in person, I wouldn't be able to break up with you. If I went over there, I couldn't have done it. So I had to do over text. And I was like, oh, excuses. What? I don't care what your reason was. There is no good reason to break up with somebody over text. We talked that night and actually he takes back the breakup, which honestly so embarrassing for me for fighting for this man who literally broke up with me over text message. But then the next morning, whoop, Uno reverse, he actually breaks up with me again. Yeah, he does. I mean, we were all expecting that one. And again, he tries making excuses for why he had to break up with me over text. And it always is just I couldn't have done it to your face. I wouldn't have been able to do it. Future Kelsey here. Really bad argument by him to say that he couldn't do it to my face because he was saying that as he was literally breaking up with me to my face. You don't seem to have any problems breaking up with me face to face now, do you, buddy boy?
You thought your ex was bad? Let me tell you about mine. I've been on my Just Alina headband. There's a lot of stories from this ex, but this one's probably the most crazy. So this was a really toxic relationship. I constantly found things on his phone that shouldn't be there. It was not the first time that something went down. This time I looked at his phone and I saw that he started following and messaging this girl. I don't even remember her name anymore, but she was from Miami and she was an artist, and his excuse was that she was a girl that his friend was talking to, and he was just DMing her and making sure that she was being, faithful to him. And man, was I gullible at this time. I would just believe this stuff that he would say, but I didn't really think anything of it. It was kind of a small fight. I was like, okay, well, just, don't, that's weird. And a few weeks later, I see that he's texting a number that I do not recognize. And I'm like, who is this? And why is it a girl texting you? Now at this point, I didn't even remember the name of the girl that was originally on Instagram, but I was trying to figure out what was going on because I was like, why are you texting this person? This isn't right. But he stuck to his story saying that he was talking to this person for his friend, which of course I couldn't double check with his friend because then he'd be upset. Then a week later or so, I find text messages while he was sleeping. I looked at his phone, no shame. This relationship was so bad. That's the only way I could get any information, dude. And there was inappropriate text messages there, pictures and all. And I was triggered. I was like, what in the heck is going on? So I left his place and immediately went to my best friend's because I was shaking. I recorded the whole entire conversation that he had with her. I scrolled and I videotaped on my phone. And I'm scrolling through these messages and he's planning to go visit her in Miami. He's telling her all these things that are not true, that he's super successful and stuff. Meanwhile, while he's just been like not at all in certain things. Like, oh my gosh, there's lie after lie. Looking back, it was literally so sad and lame on his part. I was a girl in love. I don't know what I was thinking, man.